Hello and welcome to the Habicast. This is Habitat Pinellas and West Pasco's new show. I'm highlighting our mission, our homeowners, and our partners that help make it all happen. I'm your co-host, Morgan Brochetti, and I'm here with our president and CEO, Mike Sutton. Hey, Mike.
What's going on, Morgan? Trying to get my water bottle situated over here. Got to stay hydrated. Trying to.
Literally.
How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm excited to get into episode 12.
I know. I feel like we're veterans now. We've been around doing this for a while. It's been so much fun, though. I don't know about you, but I get a lot of people, comment on how they've learned more about Habitat and kind of the work that we do and ways to get plugged in. So, and that's really the purpose of this podcast, right? Was just to kind of really expose people more to Habitat and affordable housing and the importance of it in our community.
Right. And especially with the pandemic, everybody has a podcast. So why not us? What better way to
award-winning?
Maybe awarded by us, but either way, that's fine.
Hey.
So as always, like Mike said, there are lots of ways to get involved with Habitat, but we encourage you to get social with us. We're active on all kinds of social media channels, especially on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all of those fun things. So if you're interested in learning more about upcoming events or dedications, ways you can get plugged in, head over to our Facebook or our website at habitatpwp.org.
There we go.
So
hey, how about Havana Nights?
Oh my gosh, what an amazing event.
So what's so cool is that, for the very first time in over a year, we were able to kind of do some sort of in-person gathering. And we typically, each April would hold our large gala, which for the last number of years has been at the Vinoy with about 500 people in attendance. Well, obviously, because of COVID and social distancing, we were not able to do that. So we shifted and pivoted, right? With one of the words of COVID, pivoted, and decided to do something a little bit different. But we did an outdoor event at the Vinoy last week, and very well attended. We had 150 of our closest friends, socially distanced, but opportunity for us to share the Habitat mission, raise some much needed awareness and funds for the program. And at a beautiful venue and outdoors. So couldn't have been any better.
No, especially you're out there on just the water. Like what better place could you be kind of reconvening with other Habitat supporters and homeowners? And we, as always, got to hear some great homeowner stories from Allison Feely-Roche and as well as Michelle Bauer. So two amazing moms who have made a huge impact in their kids' lives. Allison has been in her house for almost a little over 6 months now. And then Michelle was more recent. So it's really great to hear that impact and share those stories directly from our homeowners, which we've been doing here, but to hear it in person is even better. Immediate
change in their life.
Absolutely.
I saw you hanging out at the Mojito Bar.
Well, what better thing can you sip by the water at Havana Nights? Come on.
There you go. Well, hopefully this was a turning point for us as we get back to some sort of normalcy over the next few months. So hope everybody's staying safe out there and being smart. And, hopefully we all do our part. And in a few short months, we'll be back to some sort of normal life, right? I'm getting so tired of wearing these things, but,
I know.
Hey, at least now you can color coordinate them with your outfits. And,
they really are. They've become quite the accessory. That's
yeah. Hey, if you want your own Habitat one, reach out to Morgan. She'll take care of you.
Follow us on Twitter, and maybe you'll get one.
There you go. I like it.
DM. Love it. So today we are chatting with another friend of Habitat, Joe Hamilton. I can't wait to have him on and kind of have a great conversation with him about things that he's doing with the Catalyst and the Impact Council and kind of the impact that he's making in his space.
Yeah, Joe, our relationship with Joe goes back a number of years now. And a few years back, which we'll hear him talk about, he launched the St. Pete Catalyst, which has become a wonderful resource for news, breaking news, information on things going on in the community. Spotlights on organizations like Habitat, and we've, as you mentioned, have become a part of the nonprofit arm known as the Impact Council. It's a very small list of nonprofits that have engaged in this way, and it's great because it allows us to push out information and content about habitat and about affordable housing, and like-minded and organizations are a part of it, and so we're really excited about that. And Joe's just a great guy, so
He is.
we'll bring him in and introduce him, and let's start some conversation with Joe Hamilton.
Let's do it. All right, so we're here with Joe Hamilton. Hey, Joe, how are you?
I'm living the dream. How are you?
Living the dream. I love that.
I love that background, Joe.
I know.
Thank you. It is real. Thanks to Mac Feldman, for providing the view.
My background is real too. I got
as is mine.
Yeah.
We're here in Industrial Park in Clearwater.
Centrally located.
There you go. Well, you have
There
that
you go.
amazing view in downtown St. Pete.
Yeah,
It's all right. I haven't gotten sick of it yet.
Well, thanks for jumping on with us today. We've obviously been on podcasts with you before, so it's kind of fun to have you on ours. We reach worldwide, so an award-winning show.
Part of that is in partnership with Joe, so we can thank him for a lot of our awards and subscribers.
Yeah, we're going through the roof in Singapore, I hear. So
there you go. There you go.
Dozens.
Well, so why don't you tell us a little bit about the St. Pete Catalyst to kind of start, because obviously as Morgan and I were chatting before we brought you on, you have been an amazing partner to Habitat over the last few years, and it's been really impressive with what you've done with the St. Pete Catalyst. So can you just, for folks that may not know about it,
sure,
talk a little bit about it and how it came to be?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Catalyst is a pretty ambitious plan that we're just a couple of steps along the journey towards. And, what I ultimately want the Catalyst to be is a civic media platform. And really, it mimics a lot of what social media is, but social media really hasn't served local well. And, there's a couple reasons for that, which is probably too much to get into now. But, a real aha moment was when Nextdoor came along and, and said, hey, we're going to just serve the neighborhood, and brought this, it's a decent platform, but, it wasn't groundbreaking innovation in its usability or in its layout or whatever. Just, served a group that hadn't been served, which was the neighborhood. And they're about to go public at $5 billion. And I think there's a big space like that in the local community. And so, what we're looking to do, as all social media or media platforms are, is to provide enough value that folks are willing to put their content on, like they do on Facebook and on Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn every day. And, we're hoping to accomplish that with sort of a multifaceted approach. And at the core of that all is, what brings people onto the platform is news. And so most people know Catalyst today as a news platform, and essentially it is. But really, we just hope that will be the sort of initial gravity that gets people onto the platform, and then they'll start to discover tools and other things that they can use, which aren't built yet, I should say. This is, we're aspiring to this. But to give you an example, I'd love to have a tool where every high school can have it's an online news presence. I think local sports, I think the main papers in town will never really, the money won't be there for them to go cover local sports like they used to, but those are an important part of our community. And so why not, use the technology available and provide a platform where folks can upload their sports scores, or students could write pieces. Alternatively, neighborhood associations, same thing. There's a lot of people putting out, newsletters and things like that. So if we build tools for putting out newsletters, a calendar for a community, even little things like a garage sale management tool, could be really anything. But then what makes it neat is when you bind it all together, kind of put a fence around it all as a community, and sort of maybe a student writes a really cool piece on their news platform, and enough engagement happens with that piece that the algorithm says, oh, hey, this is good content, and it bumps it up to maybe an aggregate of all the best content from all the schools. And so if you go read the high school section of the Catalyst platform, you're going to get this content, and then maybe one of those performs really well, and it bumps it up to the main Catalyst, and it ends up in the Daily Spark or something like that. So you have this sort of meritocracy that you've developed where you're providing these tools that people get immediate utility out of. But then potentially, the best ideas will sort of earn their way to get seen by the most eyeballs in the community. That's where I think you could get a real sort of self-fulfilling cycle by providing these tools and this value.
So you guys have really done a good job of outside of your staff reporters that are writing stories. You bring in written columns and editorials and that kind of thing from the community. How do you guys determine what you're going to publish, and do you how do you review that and determine what you're going to put out there?
Yeah, and that's a great question. We actually moderate everything, and that even includes comments. And people are used to social media where anything goes, and you can basically say almost anything. And in the spot, you can the owner of the page can take down bad comments or bad content. But that doesn't work. That only works so well, obviously, because we know that conversations online can quickly degrade to just insults. And so we have posting guidelines, and we're trying to approach our content guidelines, in specific rules, but also really in culture, because we've had folks that have come and wanted to do the typical bashing, and we've just said no, and they've tried. They'll knock at the door 2 or 3 times, but eventually they just sort of go away. And one of my favorite lines is that your content is better suited for Twitter, right? Just take it over there. It's not a good fit for us. And then it also by not letting it get a foothold, then the engagement goes down on it. And I think LinkedIn did a good job with this. I also look at them as a guide. I think they've sort of created a space for the professional persona, a home for your your professional content and your professional resume and things like that. And for the most part, the culture itself keeps a lot of the the political stuff, or you don't see a lot of cat pictures of family cat or kids pictures on there. The culture sort of dictated the content, and I'm hoping to do that as much as we can with the Catalyst. But our posting guidelines really are more around things like if you say things like you lefties this or you righties that, if you start to to group by identity, that's not an additive place to be. So that will mean that the post won't get published. Obviously, if it's straight just sales or brochure type of content, we really try to avoid that, just because it's not good quality product for the user. And one of my favorite lines in our posting guidelines is that if you're sort of on different sides of an issue with someone, if you can explain their side better than they can, you're going to go a long way towards having a meeting of the minds. And so, that's hard to do. But I think what it gets to, what it helps people get to, is that a lot of times these issues that we talk about are just proxies for sort of deeper beliefs. And, people will say masks are bad because they inhibit freedom. And it's probably not that they see that specific act as limiting freedom, but it speaks to a larger view they have of limited freedom, or a larger thing that they even attach to their identity about limited freedom. So, it's going to be a tall hill to climb, but that our goal is to start to just introduce that sort of thinking around, understanding the different perspectives from different sides, and a house from the top, bottom, inside, and front, whatever kind of looks like different houses, even though they could be the same house. And really, we can get to a lot better, togetherness if we sort of get that and approach it from that standpoint. So maybe a bit aspirational for a platform, and it's out in the wild world, but that's what we're going for.
Well, I mean, like you said, I love how you explained it's kind of like taking the best of social media. So having those contributors from all over the place locally, and being able to contribute that content and start that conversation, whether it be in a series on affordable housing or something different, that's the best way to spread that message and have that conversation, and also be moderated, which is, like you said, we don't have on social.
Yeah, and this is where journalism is going too. Substack is hoping to pay people to build individual newsletters. We have great brands, like St. Pete Rising in town does a great job of covering development. But that's a couple guys who kind of go in the coffee shop on the weekend and put this content together. And if we can build a tool where they have a built-in audience, can get a running start on that, and if their content is good, it automatically gets shared, then in a perfect world, the Catalyst would just be one of many sort of news outlets. And as we get people who are really passionate about certain issues, like say housing and affordable housing, then they can start to build their own communities using our tools. And I think if we can accomplish that, then we're doing some good work.
Absolutely. Awesome. So I'm going to switch a little bit to talking about that content and contributors. And earlier we were talking a little bit about the Impact Council before we brought you on. So you want to talk a little bit more about that and that group and the mission of that group?
Yeah, the Impact Council was I was a little bit of a pet project that I felt like my business partner Irv Cohen is really active in the world of philanthropy, and we actually have a foundation called the St. Petersburg Foundation. We just hired our first executive director, in Karen Chasin, and we're looking to build capacity. Our motto is building capacity at the organization and community level. And so, Irv, coming from a big career on Wall Street, and seeing big things get done when good minds are put together, has been trying to sort of recreate that in St. Pete. And so this is just our little effort to really bring some of the, the better thinkers that we know. And it doesn't mean there aren't great thinkers. It's just our network is our network right now. But, we looked at who we knew that was really innovative and successful in their operations and their thinking. And we thought, why not bring them together and try to layer in some value, give them a voice and a place to put their content out, to engage their brains and get them to work together on just discrete little projects, little not open-ended sort of meetings and roundtables and things like that, but just how can we get together on a topic and come out with some actionable ideas and insight that we can share with the community. And so we're just starting down that road. I think we've got 8 of the 10 spaces filled now, and really, really super happy that you agreed to participate. But yeah, so we're going to start probably in a couple of weeks with our first meetings and our first projects around giving and the giving environment in the area, and look forward to watching you experts put your brains together.
I think what's really cool about the Impact Council is you use the word projects to describe it. It's there's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of gatherings on a regular basis, but a lot of times there's good ideas that are shared around the table, but then once everyone leaves the room, nothing's ever accomplished. Yeah. Right. And that's probably also a product of today's society, where we tend to complain a lot, or we talk a lot about how things should be, but yet no one's necessarily really willing to take it on. And I think what I really was very attractive to us when we were talking about the Impact Council was the fact that it was going to be a little bit more focused around change and continuing to make St. Petersburg and Pinellas County a better place, right?
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head with I think change nowadays has to come bottom up. It's just the age of the overarching one sort of umbrella organization or one pot of money or whatever. It just it's just too tough. The world is people are too entrenched, and the world is too granular for that. And I think the best hope you have of change is to put the best ideas out there, and ideally if you can sort of move the needle on getting it in front of the most people, which is obviously a big part of that, and let the ideas generate the momentum, and then it becomes participatory for the folks that join in. They say, oh, I see this, I want to be part of it, I want to add my voice to it, versus I'm told that this is the way it should be, or I'm told that we have to do this, or to get this money I have to act in this way. And again, because it is just ideas, it is we have a limited function, but I think it's an important function. And and I think that's it. Is just no one says you have to follow the ideas, and there's no money attached to whatever we come up with and put out there as our insight. But if it has value and people start to do it and people see that it works, and all of a sudden you sort of have this bottom up structural change that would have been that just happened a lot more easily than trying to dictate it top down.
So you've been doing the Catalyst now for about 3 years, is that correct?
3 years, yep.
3 years. So in those 3 years, what's kind of the number one aha that just has come out of this whole project?
I guess the number one aha is the power of attention, and there's so many of the really cool middle layer things that happen in St. Pete. get crushed. I mean, big businesses are even overcome I call it the cost of customer acquisition is the best way I could say it, but that's sort of the cost of attention. And attention is so fragmented now that it's hard to tell, the good ideas from the bad ideas, and your touch points with so many things, just become disconnected from the quality because we only experience them on the surface, and therefore, like the cost of even good things succeeding can be prohibitive. And an example is I have a passion for putting out books. Is a random thing. So we started a St. Petersburg Press, and we put out about 12 books last year. And it's a hybrid model where we are a publisher, and we have done some contracts where we cover the cost of the books, especially for sort of internal stuff and people sort of in our immediate circle. But we also have it as a service, and so the bulk of the people come and just use this as a service. Mm-hmm. And we put out some really cool books, and they're really good for placemaking in St. Pete. They enrich the lives of people. Obviously, the authors get a lot of meaning out of getting their books out there, and we're profitable. But mm-hmm. If that was my only business and I didn't have the Catalyst rails to ride on, if I had to go out and say, hey, authors, we exist if you want to use us. Oh, by the way, hey, we're doing, we have these books available and we can offer you this value for using us as a service. Essentially having the Catalyst has eliminated my cost of customer and reader acquisition. And, right. But it did so not in a marketing way. It did so we built the communication rails, and, ultimately time says we support this, and this business is viable, with that little bit of help. And so I think if we can do that for the community, a lot more of those sort of middle level shops and middle ground shops and efforts and cool, artists and things like that have a lot better chance and we're doing so by curing the inefficiency of our current communication mechanism. So that's the biggest aha moment I think I've had is just how much waste is out there, that if we have this, content meritocracy established, that, and we build the rails, and and people can just get the stuff that's local and relevant to them efficiently, then a lot more good stuff that maybe has a marginal viability with having to do it all themselves now can survive.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk for a second just about affordable housing, because you guys have been putting out a lot of content. A lot of it's been through Habitat, but you guys have put out a lot of content over the last couple of years around affordable housing, mm-hmm. Workforce housing, workforce development, all that kind of stuff. What do you see? As someone from the outside looking in, for us, it's all we think about. We live and eat and breathe affordable housing and Habitat. From your standpoint, and all the folks you're interacting with on a regular basis through the Catalyst, what are you seeing when it comes to affordable housing?
I guess the biggest takeaway I have is that just the numbers are the biggest struggle, because the developers that are the most aggressive and are, the numbers are not affordable housing. There's certainly a demand for it. We're already starting to see the repercussions. I was just a part of the Chamber and Club Saver, Roger Curlin and folks put out a quarterly hospitality industry thing, and I think one of the restaurants on a Beach Drive now has to close 2-3 days a week because they can't get staff to work it. And so we are starting to see the repercussions of not having people, some of that is people change trades during the pandemic, and there's a lot of money in construction right now. So it isn't all directly related to housing, but certainly a lot of people are moving out of the area and moving up north and aren't willing to commute down here for a job, in that space. And so some of the ones that are working have gone up to even offering benefits and higher rates and things like that. And so they're trying to match the industry to the housing. But, what I continue to look like, and I think we actually have a story coming out in today's edition about a developer that has bought a couple parcels of land, sort of in the less expensive areas of St. Pete, and they're going to build workforce housing. And so, I think really, if I could wave the magic wand, would be to really put a concerted effort into engaging developers who can build that affordable housing in the affordable areas while there still are affordable areas, and do so in a way that is that uplifts the neighborhood. And I think that's certainly possible right now. I mean, there's so many cool designs and things that make the community feel better, even though they're still affordable. I think that's a very doable ask. But again, most of the most active developers right now are at the higher end.
Higher end, sure. Yeah, makes sense.
Um,
Morgan?
Well, as we wrap up here, and talking about housing, great transition, Mike. We've been asking all of our guests a question that we put out about 2 years ago now. When we launched our new website, we had this whole campaign on the power of home. Then the pandemic hit. So wondering and asking about what home means to people has changed. It may be a little bit more significant than other people had thought before because they're just, used to being able to head home in a safe area or head home and rest, especially with COVID now, the lack of shelter and the ability to shelter in place when COVID first hit has really highlighted housing crisis, obviously. So we've been asking all of our guests, what does home mean to you?
Well, home, I guess home is, I think all the traditional answers are it's a base. It is a place, it's an anchor. I think in exploring the world, there is a value. The more secure you feel, the more adventurous you can be. And so I think when you have a home, then that place represents something that doesn't take any of your resources up. You just know it's there. It's going to be a place that you can go and recharge and reset and just be in. And having that foundation means then that you can be a little bit more adventurous. You can go for a little bit more out in your life. I couldn't imagine having to try to operate a day here at the office and not knowing where I'm going to sleep that night or dreading going back to that place. It would be, that's a destructive cycle versus a healthy growth cycle. And so, it is the place that is like sleep is, where you process and recharge, and your brain goes through the day and your body recharges. Home is just an extension of that. And and then obviously home is a place where you gather the pieces of your self-expression, the pieces of things that have value to you, your family, whether you're a picture and books kind of person or whether you're a minimalist. It is a place that is the environment that you've been able to set up, to uniquely support where you're going in life. And so you really can't overstate how important it is to have that base for all those reasons. So, and I think home, there are so many layers to that too. I mean, someone can have a beautiful house, but a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a very modest house, but a beautiful situation. And, I would say that, and this certainly doesn't help, folks who, physically don't have that home, but, take control of your relative measures in life, right? There's so many people that, have wonderful houses and are always looking to the people that have slightly better houses. And you might be a lot happier if you look more at the people who have worse houses or no houses. And,
Right.
just keep your, relative comparisons in check to potentially not take what you have for granted.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think it's that difference between house and home. That definition is definitely, it's different for everybody, but having a home where you can recharge and grow, like you said, as opposed to a house makes a huge difference, huge impact.
And thank you for all you're doing to give that to as many people as you possibly can. I mean, your numbers of just how much you've grown and the number of houses you're providing year over year, especially since you started, Mike, is noteworthy, and it's so important.
Well, appreciate that, Joe. And,
Thanks, Joe.
obviously, Habitats is able to continue to do the work that we're able to in the community because of partners like you guys. So the Catalyst has been a big part of that. And we know will continue to be a big part of us kind of getting the word out into the community and sharing education with folks around affordable housing and breaking down misconceptions and all that good stuff. So we appreciate all you do for the community, and thanks for hanging out with us today. We always appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, that was great to talk to Joe, a wonderful friend of Habitats and someone who's doing some amazing work in St. Pete and Pinellas County and continues to just get the good word out there about amazing things happening in our community.
He's such a great partner. I've known him for a while as well before even joining with Habitat, and he has made such an impact in St. Pete and in this area in general to have a platform like St. Pete Catalyst and then to add on the Impact Council and really focusing on those nonprofit leaders and the organizations that are making a big impact and highlighting them in that way is so awesome. It makes such a difference.
Yeah, very futuristic, very visionary in his thought process. So we're fortunate to have him as a partner. So
absolutely.
So fun. So Morgan, we're wrapping up episode number 12. As you said earlier, big 12. So
the big one too.
The big one too. So what do we got coming up over the next couple of weeks? Anything fun? Some home vacations?
We have some fun things coming up. Episode wise, we have a couple of board members coming on, which is going to be really exciting. A couple more homeowners that we're going to feature, which is awesome. We also have several dedications coming up. So those are always available for you to check out on our Facebook page, as well as check out the calendar at habitatpwp.org. See what's coming up. We also have some great third-party events too. So partners in the community who are kind of getting back into that normalcy of doing socially distanced outdoor events, benefiting Habitat, all kinds of cool things coming up. So definitely check it out on the website. Just stay plugged in with Habitat. Awesome.
Well, that's cool. You doing anything fun this weekend?
I don't know. You talked about mojitos. Now I think I want to have some mojitos.
There you go. Maybe you need to go enjoy the amazing weather and our beautiful beaches and get a mojito.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, cheers to episode 12 and to all of our fantastic subscribers and followers and everyone who's tuning in. Again, as always, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow us on social media. Tell somebody about the program. Come shop the restores. There are so many ways you can get involved and remain a subscriber with the Habicast. And we'll see you at episode 13.
The big 1-3. Awesome. Thanks, Morgan.
Bye, everyone.